Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? I'm Immortal MMA. And today, I give you my predictions for Song Yadong. Song Big Yadong. I'm giving him that name. Versus Old Man Figueiredo. We'll get into that later. I'm just gonna say this now. My prediction rate for this is gonna be 100% wrong.
Huh?
I mean right. Let's skip. Wait. Let's cancel that out a while ago. I said wrong. I meant right.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
100% pick rate. Okay, guys, trust me. But man, this is a good fight night card. I mean, the main card is really good. The prelims, you know, it was something. Here's the thing. I recorded this like days prior. So many fights got switched up on the prelims, so I had to re-record this because most of the fights were completely different. But I think that's good because it gave me enough time to go back and like really think about who would win between. I mean, these new matchups are way easier for me to predict because I know more of the guys that I'm seeing now in the prelims. But you know, let's get into it. My predictions for this card, who I think is gonna win, and I think overall, this is probably one of the best cards we have had this year in terms of like fight night cards. Like, this is definitely one of the best. And starting off with Loma Lookboonmee. Actually, first of all, if I don't pronounce any of these names right, you know, any names that I pronounce wrong, hey, I'm getting ahead of it right now. My bad, okay? But Loma Lookboonmee versus Jacqueline Amorim. So, originally, I was going to pick Jacqueline to win this. And I'm sticking with my pick. I don't think that Lookboonmee, here's the thing. Like, she's good. She's a good striker, but her main deficiency is the grappling. Like, that is her main deficiency. In her last fight, she got completely controlled, basically the entire fight against her opponent. And she's going against someone who specializes mainly in grappling. Jacqueline, her striking hasn't looked the best, you know, as of, you know, recently. And, I mean, that's with a lot of WMMA fighters. But Loma definitely has better striking. But, like, just look at this, the reach advantage. She is behind in reach by so much. And the fact that her deficiency is grappling, which is mainly what Jacqueline Amorim is good at. You know, Jacqueline has multiple submissions on her resume. She has a lot of submissions. And seeing how Loma has been controlled and kind of, you know, just out-grappled in past fights, I just think that opens up a lot for Jacqueline to just control her on the ground, basically. I don't expect this to end in a finish or anything. I don't expect it to end in a submission. Maybe just Jacqueline controls most of the first and second round. You know, maybe she outstrikes her a little bit because of the reach advantage, but again, her striking hasn't looked the best. But I would definitely go with Jacqueline Amorim for 29-28 decision for Jacqueline Amorim, getting it done with her grappling. Again, I don't think there's going to be a finish. I just think that Lookboonmee, because of her deficiency in the grappling area, she's going to just get controlled for most of the fight, and that's going to go for, you know, 29-28. I think she'll outstrike her maybe in one round if she does that. If not, it might even be a 30-27, but I'll just go 29-28 because, you know, WMMA fights, it can go either which way a lot of the times. But moving on, Zhu Kanji versus Rodrigo Vera. Now, before they got Rodrigo Vera in here, I forgot who he was facing, but I had no idea who I was going to pick at all. I was like very, very split on it. But for this one, I'm going to pick Rodrigo Vera, okay? I'm going to pick Rodrigo Vera. And, you know, despite what the stats say, he is not 0-0 in the height department. And he does not have a 0 reach and a 0 leg reach, okay? Rodrigo Vera is actually very good. As far as I know, I mean, his record speaks for itself. 21-1. His one loss came, I believe, in 2019. I think he's on like a 13 or 14. I'm pretty sure it's a 13 fight win streak, and he has a lot of finishes on his resume. And Zhu Kanji has a decent amount of finishes on his resume. You know, he has a decent resume, but like, I just think the fact that Rodrigo Vera hasn't lost since 2019. You know, it's been what 7 years since his last loss, and he has been on this really good win streak. I think him coming into here, I think he definitely gets this done. And also the fact that a lot of like these Asian prospects, they have like these large records against other like, you know, Asian fighters, but then they get to the UFC and they're, you know, they're not as good as you would think they were with how many fights they have. And again, like the fight differential for their records isn't too much. Like Zhu Kanji doesn't have that many more fights than Rodrigo Vera, so I wouldn't even give him the advantage in experience. You know, they have basically the same amount of fights. It's just that Rodrigo Vera has a much better resume and he's on a humongous win streak, and I can honestly see this being just like a striking domination where he goes 30-27 against Zhu Kanji. I'm gonna go the safe route and go 30-27 decision for Rodrigo Vera. I just, again, you know, I think the win streak that he's on, the fact that he hasn't lost in so long, and the fact that he has a lot of decent finishes on his resume, I think he's just going to definitely have one over Zhu Kanji, which again, the original fight for this, I had no clue, but since they replaced whoever he was fighting with Rodrigo Vera, now I'm like pretty sure that Rodrigo Vera definitely gets this. Or make it, like, did they replace? I swear that they had a different fighter going up against Zhu Kanji. I'm pretty sure this is one of the fights that changed. If not, then maybe I'm going crazy. Anyways, we move on. This fight, Angela Hill versus Zhang Jingnan. Let me just say, Angela, I don't know why. I don't know why. Angela Hill reminds me so much of Neil Magny in the way that, like, she's the Neil Magny of the women's strawweight division. Literally, she's right outside of like top 15 material, and she has so many wins. But it's just like, look at her win to loss streak. It's 18-16, and he's just like, Angela Hill's not bad. Like, she's not bad at all. You know, she is a decent, like, good women's strawweight fighter. But like 18-16, I don't think I've ever seen a single UFC fighter other than Angela Hill that has a record so close between their wins and losses. I don't think I've seen one. That is insane to me, how a record can be like that. And again, she's doing good in these fights. Like her fight with Baby Shark was really close. You know, that was a very close. And honestly, she could have taken that. She could have taken her fight. I forgot who it was that she fought recently. That was like a very close fight, and it could have been like a decision going to her. She has these really close fights, and again, she's like borderline top 15 rankings, you know, and I know she used to be ranked, but it's like, you know, she's past her prime. She's like 41 now. She's, you know, been losing a little bit more recently than she used to, and she's going up against someone who, although is making their debut, Zhang Jingnan is very good. She is, you know, one FC champion, former one champion. You know, she's defended her belt a lot of times in one championship, and her last loss was in 2019 against Angela Lee, I believe, who then she came back and defeated, and she has 2 wins over Angela Lee, so it's 2-1 in that department. Other than that, she hasn't lost in forever. Like her first loss was like so long ago, it's not even part of the equation. So although she's coming into the UFC, you know, she's already done her thing and won, and she's not, you know, as young as she used to be. She's still younger than Angela Hill. I believe she's like 38. So she's still younger than Angela Hill coming in her debut after she's already had a long career and, you know, won championship. And again, you know, she was multiple time champion, defended her belt multiple times. I think that she is going to have the skill to beat Angela Hill. And honestly, I think that she can definitely get up in the top 15, maybe even the like, you know, top 10. Like, maybe she keeps going, because again, like a lot of like WMMA, there's not too, like, I'm not going to say too much, there's not too much skill, but like, you know what I'm saying, guys. You know what I'm saying. Like, I'm not gonna say there's not too much skill. There's like plenty of great women fighters, but at the same time, there's a lot of like fighters that lack a lot of stuff, and I think that Jingnan can definitely get up there in the top 15, in the top 10 area, definitely. And I think that she definitely gets this one over Angela Hill. I think she dominates her easily. I think she, like, I don't even really think this is gonna be too competitive. Like, even though I like, you know, I think Angela Hill's good. You know, she female Neil Magny. I think she gets completely dismantled and destroyed on the feet by Jingnan, to be honest. I think anywhere that it goes, you know, Angela Hill takes it to the ground, she tries to clinch up. I think anywhere it goes, it's just going to be a win for Jingnan. And I think this is going to be a good fight, though. I think it's going to be a decent fight for the women's strawweight division. Cannot wait to see what she does in her career in the UFC. But moving on, Ray Saruya versus Louis Gruel. Now, this is like a super easy one for me to pick. Ray Tsuruya gets this done easily, and also nice haircut change. But yeah, Louis Gruel is not like he just fought. He just fought. So he had to recut weight from when he fought like last week, and although he did, he won his fight, it was kind of close back and forth. Having such a quick turnaround after that fight, and also having such a back and forth with his opponent, I just don't see him on the same level as like a Joshua Van, who was able to piece up Ray Tsuruya while like defending the takedowns. Now we see Van has such good takedown defense and takedown get-ups. The fact that Ray Tsuruya was still able to take him down and control him a bit, although it wasn't as like dominant as you would like to see. Obviously, Van has very good takedown defense and, very good grappling, very good defensive grappling. And he's going against Louis Gruel, who in his last fight, he did have the power advantage, but he did not have enough to put his opponent away. And he never even hurt Barres that badly. Like, I know he wobbled him a few times, but like, it never seemed like the fight was going to be finished. It really felt like it was just a back and forth, although they were throwing shots at each other, I feel like neither of them had enough power to put each other away. So I don't see him putting Ray Tsuruya away, especially after, Ray Tsuruya took so much punishment from Joshua Van and was still standing. And I just think his grappling is going to be, it's been a while since he's fought. I'm sure he's been training a lot to get better ever since his loss to Van. And obviously, he trains in the same like camp as Tatsuro Taira, who obviously is very good. I just think Ray Tsuruya gets this on the ground, and I think he probably submits Louis Gruel. Honestly, I either submits him or like easy 30-27 like domination. Again, this is a quick turnaround for Louis Gruel, so he probably had to cut weight again, which that's probably hard on his body. That, and then I just don't think he has enough danger to really deter Ray Tsuruya in the fight. I don't think he has enough power to rock him badly. I don't think he's gonna have some crazy takedown defense or crazy like defensive grappling to stop Ray Tsuruya from doing whatever he wants to him on the ground. So easy Ray Tsuruya pick. I think this is the easiest one I'm gonna lock in like 100% other than the main event. Moving on, Auriqileng versus Cody Haddon. Yeah, Cody Haddon has this. This is a crazy stat differential, by the way. 26-11 to 8-1. Like, that is actually crazy. But that being said, Auriqileng, he hasn't been that impressive in the UFC. He got completely controlled by, what was his name? Raul Rosas Jr. He got completely dominated in that fight. He's kind of been like a lose one, win one type of fighter inside of the UFC so far. And Cody Haddon is really good. Cody Haddon, he has a great finishing rate, and his one loss was to Steve Erceg, who is ranked in the top 15, and who also, fought for the belt against Pantoja and arguably won. And I know, like, Steve Erceg has had some, like, pretty bad losses after that. He got sparked up by Cara France, and then he had his loss to Brandon Moreno, which was a pretty close fight. It wasn't like a horrible loss, but Steve Erceg is a very good fighter, and he has proven himself to be top 15 material, and that's the only loss that Cody Haddon has. Other than that, Cody Haddon has finished like basically everybody. And Auriqileng, again, he's kind of a win one, lose one fighter. He's not too impressive, he has some good performances against some lower level competition, but when he gets a kind of a step up, that's when he kind of falls off. And I feel like this is too big of a step up for Auriqileng. He's good enough to beat like the very, very low ranked guys, but I don't think he's gonna win against any of the, up and coming, really good prospects, or any of the like, very, very well known fighters or anything like that. And yeah, I think Cody Haddon probably sparks him out, KOs him in the first or second round, to be honest. I think I'm gonna go with second round KO or TKO for Cody Haddon. I just don't think this is close. Moving on, Ding Meng versus Jose Souza. I swear this guy had, I swear this guy was named Jose Enrique or something like that before. I'm re-looking into this now. Did his name change since the last time I saw him? I swear this guy had a different name. But anyways, Ding Meng versus Jose Souza. I'm gonna pick Ding Meng. I think, he has obviously way more fights. And again, obviously for this one I picked Cody Haddon, even though he had way less fights. Ding Meng has a lot. The reason I'm picking Ding Meng, he has a lot of KOs. He has 28 or 29 KOs, something like that. 28 KOs out of 35 fights is insane. This guy is sparking out everyone. And I know that it's against lower competition. But Jose Souza, I saw that he got his one loss was like to a KO against this one fighter who I believe went like I believe the guy lost like his next 2 or 3 fights by like KO after defeating Jose Souza. So I'm gonna pick Ding Meng to kind of just bomb an overhand. I feel like Ding Meng just, he's there. He like bombs an overhand on Jose Souza and just sparks him out, or he hits him with like a nice hook and sparks him out. I think this is really like a coin flip, because it's like Ding Meng, I could definitely see, him sparking the guy out since he has so many KOs. But at the same time, I'm sure he hasn't had some crazy opponents. So, like, what if Jose Souza is, like, kind of just, like, a little bit better than the guys he usually faces, and he kind of just, like, outpoints him or, like, KOs him? I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Ding Meng, though. I think I'm going to go with Ding Meng just because of his KO rate, just because of all the finishes he's had, and the fact that he has had so many fights. I'm going to go with first round KO. He just bombs an overhand and drops Jose Souza. I think he puts him out cold in the first round. I'm going to go with Ding Meng for this one. Ding Meng, I don't know why. I like that name. Ding Meng. Ding Meng. It sounds like I don't know. It has a ring to it. It has a ring to it. But I'm definitely going to go with him. Plus, look at the reach advantage. 73 inches to 0. Like, we already know Ding Meng's going to get this done. Bro, I love that the UFC does this for certain fighters that they don't have registered completely. It's just reach 0. Leg reach 0. This guy is negative reach. But then he's a height of 6'3". That's so insane, bro. Moving on, though. Moving on. Yisak Lee versus Luis Felipe Diaz. I gotta go with Diaz on this one. Yisak Lee, both of them have very high finishing rates. I believe, Yisak Lee has finished like 7 out of his 8 wins. And Lewis has finished like 16 out of his 17 wins. And I just think this is going to be decided by Lewis having more experience, having more fights. Again, both of them are very good finishers. I believe Yisak Lee, his only loss is by submission. And Lewis has a lot of submissions on his record. He's recently had some submissions. Also, it's not like it's just like me reaching far back into his record. Like, no, he's had some recent submission wins. So I believe that he could definitely get this done either by knockout or submission, to be honest. I believe that, he has KO power, but I'm going to go with a submission. I'm going to go with he gets a submission over Yisak Lee in the second or third round. I believe submission for Lewis. If not a submission, I'd have him by KO second or third round. I believe he gets it done either way by finish. I don't think this one goes to the scorecards. I believe I'll lean more to the submission side, though, for the second or third round against Yisak Lee. Again, very close fight. I believe that Lewis definitely gets this done, though. Moving on to the main card, where there are people that I actually know. I mean, I know technically I knew like Ray Saruya, Angela Hill. I mean, I know Louis Grugel, but where there's more known people. Alex Perez versus Sumadarji. This is I really don't know who's gonna win this, because the thing is, like, Alex Perez, his losses are to good competition. He has his loss against Tatsuro Taira. He has his loss against Alexander Pantoja. Like, he's losing to the best of the best, basically, in the division. Top 10, top 5 level guys. And, he just got a win over Charles Johnson by KO, which is very impressive. Charles Johnson having KO'd Loner Kavanaugh and having KO'd Joshua Van. And just getting a win over, what's the guy? Silva? I forgot the guy's name, but another guy in the top 15. He has really good wins. Alex Perez, just KO'd him. And before that, he was having a pretty good fight against Asu Amabayev before putting himself into a submission in the third round. So, he's again, only losing to kind of like the top 10, top 5 type of guys in the division. And Sumadarji, he's been looking good recently, First, when it came to the UFC, he wasn't anything like too special. But recently, he has his little win streak that he's on right now, and he's been looking very impressive. And I think, the fact that he has his reach and he used his length so well in his last fight against Jesus Aguilar. I just don't know if I can pick him, though, because that's the thing. Like, he has all this length, but so did Charles Johnson, and Alex Perez was able to finish Charles Johnson. But, man, I don't know. I think... this is a hard one, because I want to pick Alex Perez. He is a little older now. Sumadarji has been looking good. I think on the spot, I'm going to pick Sumadarji to get the win as an underdog. I think this is a pretty close fight, but I think Sumidarji, if he uses his range like he did in his last fight against Jesus Aguilar, I think he can definitely kind of piece up Alex Perez on the outside. And Alex Perez, he has good wrestling, he has good grappling, but he doesn't really use it that often. I feel like he mainly strikes, and I feel like if this is a striking battle, Sumidarji can kind of keep him on the outside and kind of jab him up from range, maybe have some good leg kicks, maybe some good body kicks. But I think Sumidarji can definitely get this done. I'm going to go with a 29-28 Sumidarji win by decision. I believe that is going to be a close fight, a striking battle, where he just gets ahead on the scorecards because he's just kind of peppering the jab out. You know, he's doing just a little bit more with the activity and doing a little bit more damage. I think this is going to be a good fight, though. I think it's going to be a very close fight. Moving on to Jake Matthews versus Carlston Harris. Yeah, Carlston Harris is getting slimed out. I'm sorry. Like, Jake Matthews is taking Carlston Harris down and submitting him. Jake Matthews might even KO Carlston Harris. I think this guy is coming off of 2 KOs in a row. I really think Jake Matthews either slimes him out in the first round by KO or by submission. I think this is going to be an easy win for him. I'll go with submission since he's more of a submission guy in the first round, but I could definitely see him just like kind of catching Carlston Harris and knocking him out. But definitely Jake Matthews for this one, first round. Not much to talk about. Jake Matthews is just better all around. So I'm definitely going to go with Jake Matthews on this one by submission, first round, by maybe he catches a guillotine or he just jumps on the back of Carlston Harris and gets a rear naked choke. Definitely going to go with Jake Matthews for this one, though. Moving on, Kai Asakura versus Cameron Smotherman. I'm going to say that this will be Kai Asakura's first win in the UFC. He's had a bit of a rough start. You know, obviously his grappling, he needs to work on his grappling. But striking-wise, he is a good striker. And, you know, again, he got out-grappled by Pantoja. You know, who doesn't? Pantoja's out-grappled most of the people he's faced. And he got out-grappled by Tim Elliott, even though he's, like, you know, he's obviously not the best in the division, he's still, you know, he's always been in the top, basically, you know, since Demetrius Johnson was the champion. Like, Tim Elliott, he's still good to this day. And Kai Asakura was, you know, he was catching Tim Elliott good with some decent shots. He caught Pantoja with a few decent shots in their fight as well. But Cameron Smotherman, he's not the same type of grappler as those two. And his striking, I mean, he has some decent boxing, but, like, I just don't see Kai Asakura getting caught by the boxing, and, like, I just don't see any way Cameron Smotherman really wins this. I think Kai Asakura is going to completely piece this guy up and destroy him, to be honest. Like, I think Cameron Smotherman is getting absolutely demolished, destroyed, pieced up. And I was riding high on Kai Asakura when he first joined the UFC. Now the hype it's died down a lot. But, you know, hey, work on your grappling, Kai Asakura. You can definitely do something in this division. But for now, you know, since this, again, Cameron Smotherman isn't like this crazy grappler or anything, I'm definitely going to pick Kai Asakura. I think I'm going to pick him by KO. In the, like, second round by, like, either, like, a flying knee or, like, a knee to the body. I don't know. There's something with the knee. I feel like there's going to be something with his knee where he just catches Cameron Smotherman, rocks him badly, and just TKOs him. Yeah, second round TKO for Kai Asakura. I just think he's much better than Cameron Smotherman, levels above him, to be honest. And again, you know, his grappling definitely needs to work on that, but his striking is really good. And yeah, I think he just definitely KOs Cameron Smotherman in the second round, pieces him up crazy. I think this is gonna be just a one-sided, like, brutal Kai Asakura masterclass, and everyone's like hyped on him again, maybe. But moving on to Sergey Pavlovich, I think we're going to see Prime Sergey back. I think we're going to see Prime KOing everybody, Prime sliming everyone out, Sergey Pavlovich. Teixeira, look, I saw his first win, and I know it was against, like, Tafa, but, like, I was high on him. I was like, oh, this guy is, you know, he's big, he's huge, he has this really good range. Goes into the Derek Lewis fight, and, you know, he's kind of piecing him up at range, and then he gets bombed and KO'd by Derek Lewis. And then he faces against Tai Tuivasa, and legitimately almost gets KO'd by Tai Tuivasa as he is right now, and barely gets by the win by blobbing out Tai Tuivasa. And as we have seen, Tai Tuivasa is horrible. He's horrible recently. After his fight with Cyril Gane, that was the end of Tai's prime. Because of Bedtime buying the Tai Tuivasa shirt, he was cursed for all eternity. He is never winning a fight again. Tailson Teixeira went life and death with Tai Tuivasa. That Tai Tuivasa. Past his prime, Tai Tuivasa. And he got KO'd by Derek Lewis, the shell of Derek Lewis, the Derek Lewis that got destroyed by Waldo Cortez Acosta by a simple jab. Literally got hit with a single jab by Waldo Cortez Acosta, and he folded like a lawn chair and just sat on the ground waiting for the fight to be stopped because he was tired. That is the guy that Tailson Teixeira got knocked out by. And he's going all the way up the rankings. He's going all the way up the rankings against Pavlovich? Why? I don't understand. Like, Tai Tuivasa, when they fought, I don't even, like, was Tai even ranked? And if he was, or what? He was ranked, like, maybe 15 at most? Like, he had to be. Like, Tai's been on a horrible losing streak. Why give this guy such a big jump up? Why are you trying to, like, you're trying to kill this guy's hype completely. I feel like you have to give this guy at least a few more fights to kind of, like, you know, get himself situated in the division. You know, he's very new, a 9-1 record. Like, it's not like this guy has crazy experience. Like, let this guy have a few fights to get some experience. Putting him in there against Sergey Pavlovich is going to sleep this guy. And I really believe that. Like, here's the thing. Ever since he got KO'd by Tom Aspinall, he hasn't really been the same with his KOs. But, like, at the same time, he has been facing good guys and beating them. You know, he fought Rosenstruik and defeated Rosenstruik, who, you know, Rosenstruik at the time was still a very good striker. He was still like top 15 caliber of a striker. They cut him. Why? I have no idea. They literally cut him off of a win. I have no idea why they did that. But, you know, Pavlovich beat him in a striking battle, you know, tit-for-tat striking battle, and he beat Waldo Cortez Acosta, who has been going on a run. You know, I know he lost his last fight to Volkov, but that was a very close fight against Volkov. Beat Waldo Cortez Acosta, again, with a tit-for-tat, kind of, you know, outskilled Waldo Cortez Acosta, who has been on a really good run. You know, he got pieced up by Volkov, but Volkov is obviously, you know, like top 3 material. Like, the only person Volkov has lost to is Cyril Gane by robbery decision, and Tom Aspinall by submission. And of course, you know, he lost the first fight to Cyril Gane, but like, Volkov has been looking great recently. I know his fight with Waldo, you know, he looked a little slower than his previous fights, and, you know, he didn't look as good, but he still won that fight. And, you know, Sergey Pavlovich, although he got pieced up in that fight, you know, other than that fight, he's been doing pretty well against the other competition he's going up against. And Tailson Teixeira is such a downgrade from his opponents that he's been facing. I think he definitely knocks this guy out. Not to mention, even though Tailson is so much taller than him, he has the reach advantage on Tailson. So it's not like he's going to have this, like, crazy advantage with, like the reach. Like, he has the reach advantage, and he has the leg reach advantage. So I think Sergey just pieces him up, you know, gets in the inside and just hooks him right across the jaw and puts his lights out. I'm going to go with first round KO for Pavlovich. If not first round, then second round. But I'm just going to go with first round KO by Sergey Pavlovich. I think he's just going to slime out Tailson Teixeira, honestly. And I think this completely kills any hype that was left for Teixeira. I have absolutely no idea why they're giving him this opponent. Moving on, Zhang Mingyang versus Alonzo Menefield. Now, this is a good comeback for Zhang Mingyang, I believe. You know, he had his loss against Johnny Walker, who, the thing is, like, Johnny Walker is such a goofy fighter. Like, he is a glass cannon. And, yeah, he was just leg kicking Zhang Mingyang, basically, and he folded to the leg kicks. Do I think Alonzo Menefield goes out here and the crafty leg kicks, he's gonna kick him, boom, 1 leg kick, boom, 2 leg kick, and he's going to stay on the outside. Boom! 3 leg kick. No, I don't think... I think Alonzo Menefield is going to get into a firefight and get knocked out. That's what I believe. I don't think he's going to go in here with his, like, leg kick game plan or anything like that. And Zhang Mingyang, I think he's just going to put a straight right into Alonzo Menefield's jaw and knock him out. If not a straight, I think he's just going to hit him with, like, a nasty boxing combination. Kind of similar to how Alonzo Menefield lost his last fight. I think he's just gonna get folded like a lawn chair. Honestly. Here's the thing, like, Alonzo Menefield, he's skilled, but he's also not at the same time, you know what I mean? Like he's defeated good fighters. He's had some good wins in the division, but at the same time, he kind of like loses all of his big step ups. And I just think Zhang Mingyang, even though he did, again, he lost to Johnny Walker, he couldn't really find Johnny's chin well. And obviously, you know, his legs are kind of, Zhang Mingyang doesn't have a glass chin, he has glass legs. That is how we describe him. Hopefully he's been working on his conditioning. He's been working on his leg conditioning. But I just think that they're gonna kind of have a firefight with each other, and I think Zhang Mingyang just knocks him out during the firefight. Or maybe Alonso kind of does try to go for more of like a technical approach, and he's gonna get knocked out because he's maybe too patient. I just don't see Zhang Mingyang getting knocked out. And I don't really think that Alonso Menafield is going to go with a calf kick heavy approach, even though he should after seeing Zhang Mingyang's last fight. But even if he does, I just don't think he has the same kind of power as Johnny Walker, even in, like, you know, leg kicks. Like, Johnny Walker's a gigantic dude. Like, he's a powerful dude also. And I just don't think Alonso Menafield carries that same type of power. So I think Zhang Mingyang by first round KO. But moving on to the final fight. This is the most confident fight on the entire card for me, because I am very confident that Song Big Yadong, yes, I'm going to call this guy that every single time I ever talk about him on my channel. Song Big Yadong is gonna slime out Deiveson Figueiredo, and it's not even close. It's not even close, and that is sad to say, because Deiveson why did I have like an accent there? Deiveson Figueiredo. Deiveson Figueiredo, he's old, man. He's old. Maybe not like I don't know how old he is, like his actual age, but in the fight, he's old in the fight game. He's looked horrible, and I mean horrible in his last fights. And I know it's like, oh, he went against Umar, he's going against these good fighters, but in that fight, he literally did nothing. He did nothing. He did nothing. He just stood there menacingly, and Umar was just afraid to attack him because he was standing there so menacingly. He had so much respect for him that he didn't really go for it. And I really don't know why Umar didn't go for it. I really believe that Umar could have like easily put on a crazy masterclass, but instead he had this really boring fight against Deiveson Figueiredo because he respected his power so much. And it's like, Deiveson Figueiredo just doesn't throw anymore. He just doesn't throw. His volume is horrible. Even when he has horrible volume, like his fight with Chito Vera, he did not even really throw that much in that fight. But you could tell that he was tired by the third round. Like, you could tell that he was gassed, and it was like he wasn't really even throwing, but he was already tired, and like you could tell by like looking at how he was moving. Other than that, you know, he got dominated by Yan. He had his fight with Montel Jackson, which was oh my goodness, his fight with Montel Jackson sucked. Like, that fight made me think that Montel Jackson just like did not know how to fight anymore at all. And then, you know, he goes out in his next fight and he wins his fight and he's actually striking. Why didn't you do that with this Deiveson Figueiredo? I really believe that Montel Jackson could have actually struck with Deiveson Figueiredo and like outstruck him. Because Deiveson Figueiredo and Montel Jackson they were literally just standing there, just looking at each other, not throwing anything. Literally how the fight went. There was barely anything thrown in that fight. Put up the stats, future me, editing me. Put up the stats. I want to see how many strikes did they actually throw. Because that fight was horrible. Deiveson Figueiredo, he has no volume anymore. He's not as good, you know, he's not as good at this weight class as he was his last one. Like, although his power carried over, he has good power still. Like, he's not going to be knocking anyone out, I do not believe. Like, maybe he could rock them, but he doesn't have the size advantage anymore, really, when it comes to who he's facing. He just isn't himself anymore. He isn't like Prime Figgy anymore. Prime Figgy is dead. He's gone. This Figgy is just stand at range and, you know, hope that he's so intimidating that he wins the fight. That's basically what he does. While Song Yadong is a competitive fight. He has been a competitive fight for everybody in the division. He had a close fight with Corey Sandhagen. He had a close fight with Petr Yan. He had a close fight with Sean O'Malley. He has a close fight with all of these top guys. And, like, is he losing these fights? Sure. but he's still like putting up very good fights against these, top 5 guys, these like really good guys, Sean O'Malley, who is a former champion, Petr Yan, who is a former and current champion. Like, he's putting a very good fight up against these guys. He's also way younger than Deiveson Figueiredo, so he has the age advantage. And Song Yadong, his last fight against O'Malley, look, I love you, bedtime. O'Malley did not win that fight, okay? And here's I wanted O'Malley to win the fight. Also. So it's not like I'm biased towards Song Yadong, but O'Malley did not win that. He did not. He lost the first round. He lost the second round. He deviously pieced up Song Yadong in the third round. I'm not going to, if that was a 5-round fight, Song Yadong would have been destroyed by Sean O'Malley. But I really think that, Song Big Yadong, let me correct myself, he won that fight. He did. I just got to say that. He did. He out-leg kicked Sean O'Malley. I know it's like, oh, he out-leg kicked Sean O'Malley. Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It was a really close fight. And obviously, Sean O'Malley was, the better fighter because he was piecing him up in the third round. But I do believe Song Yadong did win that fight first 2 rounds. And again, he's having all these close fights with all these, legends of the game. Corey Sandhagen, who has been in the top 5, top 10 area since, forever. Sean O'Malley, former champion. Petr Yan. He's having these close fights with all these guys. And again, Figgy's just washed now. He's just, this is the definition of washed. This is a washed. This is washed. When people say, when people are calling Charles Oliveira washed because he lost a split decision to Arman Tsarukyan and he got KO'd by Ilia Topuria, that's not washed. When Max Holloway when Max Holloway got knocked out by Ilia Topuria and everyone was calling him washed after that, this is washed. This is washed. None of that other stuff. That is not washed. This is washed. Deiveson Figueiredo literally standing at range and still gassing out. This is washed. Deiveson Figueiredo, I think he just needs to retire. Maybe he's just doing it for the money. Maybe he's kind of just trying to play out his contract and just get as much money as possible. And honestly, I wouldn't judge him for that. Get your bag. But I just don't think this fight is competitive at all. I think Song Yadong deviously slimes out Figueiredo. I think he masterclasses him, beats him up badly for 3 rounds and maybe KOs him in the 4th round. If not, I think this is going to be a 50-45 masterclass. I just don't see any way that Deiveson wins this fight. I know he has great power, but it's he's going to be gassed out by the 2nd round and he's just going to get pieced up by Song Yadong. And that's going to be it. He's just going to get pieced up the entire time, I believe. Hey, this is a future me here, so I just wanted to add this. It's kind of random, but Song Yadong, why is he just aura farming right here? Song Yadong is aura farming. This just adds to me thinking that he's going to win. Why is he aura farming so hard in this picture? He knows he's going to destroy Figueiredo. He knows he's going to whoop him. That's why he looks so calm right here. He knows he's going to get it done against Figueiredo. Look at him. I've never seen a guy with so much aura. I've never seen Song Yadong pull up with so much aura. Anyways, I just had to put this out there. This is definitely a factor into the fight. We got to think about, how the aura affects the opponent. You know what I'm saying? This is just disregard this. This is just a funny moment, okay? But these are my picks for the fight night. I think it's going to be really good. I'm not going to be able to see it at the time it comes out because that is too early for me. And I have work that day also. But I'm going to be watching them afterwards, and I will give my reactions to the fights and my picks. And if you enjoyed this video, roundhouse that like button. Let me think. Sidekick that subscribe button. And then, let me think. 12 to 6 elbow that comment section and let me know what do you think about my picks. What do you think about, any thoughts that you have. And stay tuned for more videos coming out soon. I have a lot of tier lists that I'm orchestrating. A lot of fighters that I'm having to crop out and then save onto my computer so that I can put them on those tier lists, which is taking a while. But that is okay because masterpieces take a while to make. And I make masterpieces on this channel. Every single video I put out is a masterpiece. And you cannot tell me otherwise. Nah, enough of the self-glaze, though. Again, hope y'all enjoyed this video. And I will see y'all in the next video.